Lawyers will always say you must have a will in place, but you must make sure it's up to date and it reflects your current family circumstances. Alongside a will, we have things called lasting powers of attorney, okay? And they're as important.
Small Biz Digital Media presents Connect, Convince, Convert, Inspiring Business Success Stories with Dave Bird, Steve Ennis and Martin Hill.
A big welcome to Samantha Lloyd from SME Solicitors. It's great to have you on the show, Sam.
Thanks for inviting me.
I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and he always says to start with the why. And I know legal work can be incredibly rewarding, but you have to have amazing attention to detail, and it can be very stressful at times too. So, can you share with us, Sam, what is your why?
I think most of us love solving problems, and there are a variety of different problems that we need to solve, depending on whether we're working for an individual or for a business. I'm a private client lawyer, so I work for you as individuals, understanding your problems, understanding the situations that you're in, establishing what laws are relevant and applying those to the situations. Okay, so that's the main element. Another element is I love working with people. So I love sitting and having conversations, finding out about clients and understanding their situations and supporting them through whatever situation we're dealing with.
I thought that would be the kind of answer that you'd give. I've worked in the legal sector as a videographer, and I guess what I found helpful was adding some humour to serious topics, and with legal processes often being complex, explainer videos were very helpful as well to provide some clarity. So I know that legal work can be very intimidating to a lot of people. So I'm wondering if you could share with us what you do to make it less daunting.
I'm not afraid to share personal experiences if they are relevant and I feel are helpful, so that the client understands it's not just them sat in that situation. You know, it does happen to others. Because I have some knowledge or personal experience, maybe I am the person to help support them through it. So I think having a personal approach is helpful. I hope my clients find that helpful.
That's a really good answer, Sam, and it will reassure a lot of people I know who, as I say, find it quite daunting and therefore may put things off or delay getting the help that they need. I would now like to move on to a more personal issue, if I may. We spoke beforehand, didn't we, Sam? My sister and I went through a very hard time during the pandemic because my parents sadly both passed within months of each other, and we were trying to sort out probate. And frankly, we didn't feel we got the best service from the law firm that we were dealing with. There were issues around sensitivity because we were experiencing obvious grief, and we felt we were just being processed, and not very well either, especially as they kept getting Mum's name wrong, which is completely unacceptable. But I know that your approach is fundamentally different, so would you please share with us what you do to help people through such a difficult period?
Dealing with someone's estate after they've died is such a difficult situation. You're surrounded with grief. That's where you sit initially, and you realise you've got things you've got to do. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to do is to ask for help. Why would you know what to do, especially if it's not happened before? And sometimes the hardest thing for an individual to do is to pick the phone up and give us a call. And I hope when people do that they receive a friendly, approachable person on the other end of the phone. And I think that's our first line here, is that we want to be approachable, we want to be sympathetic. Like I say, I've been through similar situations myself, my staff have as well, my whole team have. We come at it with personal knowledge, personal experience. So we haven't sat in your shoes, but we have had similar experiences. So hopefully we will come at it with that sort of empathy. If people can make that initial call and speak to us, we can approach it in many different ways. And I think it's important to follow your lead. How do you want to go ahead with this? And the first thing I always say is there is no hurry. We don't have to run into this. Yes, there's procedures to follow and we will guide you through those if you want us to. But let's take our time, take your time, do it when you're ready. Some people like to crack on and get things done. Some people aren't ready straight away and want a bit of time. We will let you know that there are rules in place. We will let you know that there are time limits for certain things so that we can make sure that they're met as near as possible. But yes, hopefully you feel as a client that you're in control as well. Then you decide, do you want to have involvement in what's going on, or actually, do you want to step away and hand it over to us? There's different ways of approaching it there. And we will work with the client in the procedures. Sometimes they want to do elements of it themselves, so they feel in control of the situation. Sometimes they just think, I can't do this. Could you please sort out the legal side of things? We'll sort out the personal things, and then we'll meet at the end and it'll all be done and everyone can move forward. Yeah, having that initial personal contact, and it's working at your speed.
That is so reassuring, Sam. And in retrospect, if only we'd had that kind of answer and that kind of response, things would have been much better. And what it's highlighted for me is that a bespoke and personalised approach works best. We felt that we were just a number on their books because there was that kind of detached, depersonalised vibe about it all. What you've just shared there is the service that we felt that we should have got. So I like the way you said you were just there to listen, because as well as their expertise, we really needed some support, almost in a coaching capacity, to take us through it all.
I think that's exactly right. We do come at it with legal knowledge and expertise, years and years of dealing with people's estates. So we understand the pitfalls, things to look out for. We understand the rules. But what's important is that we apply them to your circumstances. What's the situation with the family? What does the will say? What are the assets? We look at those, and no two estates are the same. The procedures are roughly the same, but no two estates are the same. So therefore, we have to adapt those procedures to the individual matter that we're dealing with.
I know, because I was at the quiz night that SME Solicitors held recently supporting the Grace Kelly Childhood Cancer Trust, that you personally have done some fantastic work for them. So can you share that with us?
The reason why SME Solicitors supports the Grace Kelly Childhood Cancer Trust is a personal reason for myself. My son was diagnosed with cancer, and the charity were extremely supportive to myself, my son, my family throughout the treatment and then subsequently, and they still support us now. I personally wanted to give something back, as often we do, and luckily my fellow partners agreed that we would choose the charity as our charity of the year. The charity asked me to climb the 3 peaks with them. Gosh, an honour to be asked, a challenge. I had 5 weeks to get myself fit to climb the 3 peaks, and we were doing it in 24 hours. I was quite hesitant in that would we be able to do that. Put the hours in, did the training. Lucky enough to meet Amanda Holden, because it was her challenge as part of Heart FM's Global Make Some Noise campaign, and managed to climb the 3 peaks in the 24 hours in howling gales, torrential rains. The weather couldn't have been worse, if I'm absolutely honest. But we had the best time. It was the hardest thing I've probably done physically, but I absolutely loved every minute of it.
What a fantastic achievement, and well done for doing such amazing work and enjoying yourself at the same time, despite all that adversity with the bad weather. So our time is almost up, but I've got one last question for you. Can you give us one piece of legal advice for us to take away and use in our daily lives?
Lawyers will always say you must have a will in place, but you must make sure it's up to date and it reflects your current family circumstances. Alongside a will, we have things called lasting powers of attorney, okay? And they're as important. So a will sets out who deals with your estate when you're no longer here, but a lasting power of attorney is a document to be used during your lifetime. So if you are seriously unwell, you're out of action, you're having an operation, that kind of thing, that lasting power of attorney can appoint someone who you trust, who you want to act for you in dealing with your personal affairs. And that's really, really important for you to make that choice as to who you'd like to do that. Alongside that, and it's not as well known, but we can have things called business lasting powers of attorney. They relate specifically to your business. So as a business owner, you might want to think about, if I'm out of action, what happens with my business? How does it carry on running? How do my bills get paid? If I've got staff, who's signing those checks or reports that need to be done on a regular basis? So thinking that through and just taking that time to think, who should step into my shoes if I have to take some time out for a period of time? And that's something that we can help with. We could talk through, discuss ideas, but it's important to give it some thought, give it some time, and get those documents in place.
Wow, what a comprehensive answer. Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you so much for being a guest on Connect, Convince, Convert.
Thank you very much.
This episode of Connect, Convince, Convert was produced and presented by Dave Bird. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, so you don't miss any future shows.